Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. So this is one of our most requested videos. This is my birth story. Let's just jump straight. My labor started on Sunday the 23rd of February. Thea was born on the 25th. Just for this is how long my labor went for. So I went into the hospital on the 23rd at 10 AM. 41 weeks pregnant. I went to be assessed by my midwife. Her name was Beck. She was awesome. I loved my public health pregnancy journey. I loved my midwife group. They were like all amazing. It was awesome. Like, I was so happy to be a part of that group. So we went in at 10 AM to see if I was in labor like at all, and I was not. So she wasn't coming on her own basically, and they only let you go to a certain amount of weeks. So they let you go to, I think it's like 42 weeks. That's a long time to be pregnant. So my midwife scheduled me in for an induction on the day that she returned to work. So that was going to be Thursday. So I didn't want to be induced. So when she said that they would be inducing me on Thursday, I went home and I said, they're going to induce me on Thursday. I want to do everything possible to get her out on my own. So anyway, we went to the hospital. My midwife did a check. She did an internal examination, and my cervix, she was closed. She was as tight as a fist. She was not dilated at all. So looked like we were being induced. But then Sunday the 23rd of February 2020 at 7 PM my contractions started. I was happy to be in labor. I didn't think I would be happy to be in labor because it's not a fun time, but I was happy because my contractions were starting, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this naturally and not be induced. I think that's exactly what I wanted. That was my birth plan. So they were very inconsistent, not painful, just really annoying, and I couldn't get comfortable. I would lay in bed tossing and turning. Every time I had a contraction, I would stand up and move around until they went away. But that's when I started like timing them on my phone, just to like check to see how long they were lasting, how like every minute they were coming, sort of thing. I was walking around my neighborhood, like even at like 9 PM because I did not want these contractions to go away. Like, it was me and my mum and Ben's mum. They were like walking me around the estate, and we were like, these contractions, they are coming. Because every time I would stop, I would just be like, breathe through it, breathe through it, breathe through it. Like, just before we left for the hospital, Ben and I were walking around the estate, like up and down the street, and he was like every time I would stop to breathe, he was like rubbing my back. He was like, come on, you can do this. And I was like, oh my god, this sucks. So I stayed at home. So from 7 PM, that's when contractions, they were on. So on Monday morning at 5 AM, like almost 6 AM actually, 5:51, I made my first call to my midwives, just to like let them know that, you know, I was in labor and I was having contractions, and like they weren't super consistent. They were lasting like 30 seconds. So, and they just said, you know, hot shower, take some Panadol, just try and stay at home as long as I can. So I labored all day at home. vibing my contractions and having, I think I had like 4 or 5 showers at home. I didn't want to take Panadol because I'm not a big like a Panadol Nurofen person. So then like throughout the day they started getting more powerful and closer together, and I was like, oh my god, here we go, you know, I'm getting into that active labor kind of stage. So my specific midwife was off on her 2-day break, which midwives get because they're on call 24/7. And then it got to 6:15 that night, Monday the 25th. I called because my contractions, they were intense, and I didn't want to risk having her at home. Like I didn't want to do that. Point. I didn't go in till at 7, so I stayed at home for another hour. And I was just going around the house. My dad had made dinner, so he was trying to get me to eat something, so I was just like nibbling on stuff. Because when you're in like labor, you don't eat because you're in labor, your body hurts. So I made a plan to meet with my midwife at my hospital at 7:30 to be assessed. So my mum, Ben, myself and Ben's mum, we grabbed our bags, grabbed what we needed for the hospital, jumped in the car, and we went. I had contractions in the car and they were not fun. We got to the hospital, I went into the maternity wards to be assessed, and I was 4 centimeters dilated, which meant I could stay at the hospital, which I was happy with. I didn't want to be like going to the hospital, being sent home, going to the hospital, being sent home. Like I just felt that would be really deflating on me. So we checked into the hospital, and that's where I was staying until she was here. Like I wasn't going anywhere else. So because I chose to stay, my midwives went and set up my birthing suite with everything that I wanted. So I had a salt lamp, a sea spray diffuser, and like some like smelly stuff to make it smell like the sea. So we went into the birthing suite at about 7:30, and I was bouncing and rolling on the birthing ball, walking around the room. At 8:30 I decided I wanted to use the shower, so we went into the shower. I used the ball in the shower while Ben held water on my back, because during my contractions, like my pain was in my back. Like it was really bad in my back. Like I had some like period pain kind of feels going on, but like all of the pain was just, it was in my back. At about 10 o'clock I decided I wanted to get into the bath, because that's, you know, I was very happy in water, so I wanted to be completely submerged in water basically. And I would just float around. I was floating around in the bath for ages, like right up until she was born. Just floating around and contracting like crazy. My contractions at this point, they were so strong, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this, and just like all up in my head. And you know, thank god I had Ben and my mum and Ben's mum, so they were like, you can do this, you're so strong, like you've got this. Especially Ben, like he was just in my ear my entire labor, like you can do this. And I was like but obviously I was like, I can do this, it's fine. So then I got the gas, because my main goal was to not have an epidural, which is where I was happy I didn't have one. But I was floating around in the bath, contracting like crazy, and I had so much pressure in like my pelvis and butt. Like if you've had a baby, you know, it feels like there's a bowling ball in your butt. Like it's not comfortable at all. So I started using the gas, not even for pain, but just because I was starting to hold my breath during my contractions, which isn't good because you can pass out from doing that. So it was more of like to concentrate on my breathing. So then at this point it's Tuesday, 1:45 a.m.-ish, around there. My midwife was constantly checking me, but so because I was in the water, she was checking me like with a mirror just to see if she could see a crowning or anything like that. 1:45-ish, head midwife came in to my birthing suite, and she said to my midwife, grabbed her and said, get her out of the bath now. So because my hospital, they don't allow water baths, which is crap, my next one, I want to have a water bath. I was doing so good in the bath, and the fact that she made me get out, it messed with my mind. Like, it messed with my head so much, and it was really frustrating. Now I look back and I'm like, why did you do that? I was doing so good. Like, I was doing so good. But anyway, it's their rules. I, you know, was about to give birth, so I just did what I did. I was getting out of the bath, had a contraction mid getting out of the bath. That wasn't fun. Yeah, so I was contracting so much getting out of the bath. I had like 2 or 3 contractions trying to get over to the bed, to where my mat was set up, because I was so comfortable like on my knees, like doing squats and hovering around and stuff. So anyway, that's what I was doing. But my midwife had set up a mat with a towel on the ground next to the bed. So I was on my knees leaning over the bed like this, and I can tell you, boy, my shoulders hurt the next day and for like the week after. My mum was at my head, so she was like looking at me like this, and then Ben was here helping to hold me up a little bit, and I had mum's hand and Ben's hand, and like I was like wrapped around Ben, holding on to my mum's arm, and Ben's mum was all at the business end. She wanted to watch, and I was like, that's fine, you do you, boo. Like, I don't care, because when you have a baby, man, dignity, she out the window, you have none. Everyone has seen you butt naked and seen like everything going on, but like, you know, you in the middle of labor, you don't care. I was out on the bed contracting like crazy, and that is where I pushed. So I started pushing. I had the gas pipe in my mouth. Like, I wish I had photos or a video because it was just hanging in my mouth, and I don't even think I was sucking the gas. Like, I was just chewing on it. Like, I was full on chewing on it. And like my mum was helping me like hold it in my mouth, so like I had it all the time. So yeah, I had one of her fingers and one of Ben's, and I honestly, I don't remember much of my labor. Like, at this, like, being postpartum now, I wish that I had my camera set up and like the GoPro set up, because we had all that stuff with us. We didn't end up using it. But during my pushing stage, Thea's heart rate dropped. And my midwife and the head midwife, they weren't happy with her heartbeat. So they had to put the Doppler on my belly to make sure so that she was fine. So my midwife had one hand on my stomach with the Doppler, making sure that they could hear her heartbeat, and like one hand down ready to catch her. Basically, they said like it was like they were going to intervene if I didn't get her out in that next contraction. So with that, Ben was like, you can do this, push her out now. And Mum was like, get this baby out. So with their encouragement, I pushed her out, and then they realized why it was so difficult for me, because she'd crowned a few times before that, because Thea had her hand right beside her head, right there, exactly like that. It's hard enough to push a baby's head out let alone pushing their head along with their arm out. So I, you know, was all in all sorts of pain after birth, but I pushed her head out and then her shoulders, and then gravity sort of did its thing. She fell out into my midwife's arms. I remember seeing her for the first time, like she put her up and underneath me, and then I sort of don't remember anything. The next thing I remember is being on the bed, establishing breastfeeding, having skin to skin. Obviously the placenta, pushing the placenta out, getting the injection, so my uterus keeps contracting and, you know, the placenta comes out. My midwife checked my placenta, making sure everything looked fine. She seemed okay with it, but she wasn't like 1000% sure that she was okay with it. They weighed Thea, measured her, checked her over, gave her a first set of needles, and then it was all cuddles for dad while mum got the stitches. But yeah, I had 2 second-degree tears, and oh my god, it was nuts. So she was born at 1:53 a.m. on Tuesday, the 25th of February 2020. This is where it gets nuts. Our mums went home thinking that we'll be home later that day, because in Australia, if they can, they send you home the same day. They send you home 4 hours after birth. They will send you home straight from birthing suite if they can. I was like, I'm doing great. Like, I'm going home. I can take my newborn, 4 hours old, home. I'm gonna be home by 7 a.m. Perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want to stay in hospital. I hate hospitals. I hate hospitals. I don't want to stay. I got up to go for a shower at like 5 a.m. My midwife did a change. No, actually my midwife hadn't done changeover yet. I got up to shower at like 5 a.m. I hadn't showered in a few days. I was ready for a shower. I got up, I got into the bathroom. My midwife left for a second to go and get a towel because we didn't have any. She was like, "You're okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine. Like, I am so fine. I got this." You girl, she wasn't fine apparently. I collapsed. Yeah. I just collapsed. I lost a lot of blood just standing there. I lost like 2 liters of blood. Like, I didn't hit my head, thank God. I didn't get a concussion. I stopped myself from hitting my head. So I was like semi-conscious when I fell. So I landed on my arm and I just laid there. And the next thing I know is there's like 7 to 10 nurses over the top of me. They've injected me with something else. Like, they injected me with the placenta, like the uterus contracting stuff again. Because clearly my uterus hadn't contracted back down, so it was still sort of open because there was a tiny bit of placenta left. So my uterus was like, we're still making baby. Like, there's still a child in here. So they worked out there were 2 little bits of membrane left when the placenta came out. So that was my body's way of getting rid of them, was like flushing it out when I stood up. It wasn't fun. But I was fine afterwards. So then they injected me with the uterus contracting thing again, and my uterus started contracting back down, and I had to get back in bed, catheter in, fluids. They wanted to give me a blood transfusion, but I honestly felt fine. I didn't want one, but I had to stay overnight. It sucked, but yeah. At like 7 a.m. my midwife changed over. I finally got to stand up and have a shower again. I was much better. I was still kind of lightheaded, much stronger. Ben was taking care of Thea. He told me the next day, he was like, not even the next day, he like a week later, he was like, that was the scariest moment of my life. Like, watching me collapse, he was like, I was so scared. He's like, I didn't know what was going on. He was just holding Thea in a chair, like watching me just get swooped up by midwives and doctors and nurses. Like it was a lot. It was really scary. And then so at 10:30 we moved to the maternity ward, and Thea and I stayed overnight to be monitored. Ben and my mum, at this point, they did a switch. Ben had been up for like 48 hours with me. So he went home to get some sleep. Mum brought me food, and you know, came to see Thea. And I tried to get some rest. And then around 12 my mum had to leave because they have very strict visiting hours at the hospital. And from 12 till 3:30 is supposed to be mums and bubs sleeping and resting and just no visitors. So it was shit. But Dad came up to get Mum, so we got to meet Thea for the first time. He had cuddles, they walked around my room a little bit. I was really thankful, so because I gave birth in a public hospital, the maternity ward is shared, but because they wanted to monitor me closely, they left me close to like the midwife station. So my room was a 2 share, not a 4 share. So I got like a decent sized room, and I only had to share with one other lady, which was awesome. So my midwives were coming over, introducing themselves as they did like their changeovers and stuff from night till day. And then my parents left, and then it was just me and Thea. We slept, I think, pretty much the whole time, obviously breastfeeding. And then at 3:30 Ben came back to stay with us for the afternoon. And then later that day, Ben's brothers and his mum came over to the hospital to meet Thea. They took her to a like a different room so I could have a shower. I had heart palpitations. She was only a few hours old, but I was only in the shower for like 5 minutes. I didn't have a long one. But yeah, so I showered successfully, peed successfully without my catheter, so they were happy to leave it out. So then they came back because it was time for Thea to have a feed. So they came back. And everybody left. So Ben and I curled up on the single bed that I had. Just cuddling with Thea, watching like Netflix on my phone. And then like sleeping. So Thea and I had a bit of a rough night because there was a lady next to me who was pumping and feeding, like they were having some trouble breastfeeding. And every time she would turn the pump on, Thea woke up. So this is a bit of a nightmare, but that's okay. Wednesday the 26th, about 12:30 p.m. we finally got discharged from the hospital. We were able to go home, and it was much better. We surprised our parents by just showing up. It was actually really nice. Just chilled at home. I went and had a proper shower finally. Everyone had cuddles. It was really bizarre seeing Thea in her bassinet for the first time, but she was real and she was there, and we just felt super blessed. You can hear her playing in the background. And yeah, I'll insert some photos here from when she was a newborn. I hope you guys enjoyed my birth story. It gets a bit intense at the end. On that note, thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.